retired metalhead weatherman. I hope you guys have had a good hump day. Well, mentioned in this morning's video that I was going to be talking about the upcoming severe weather threat that we have going towards the latter half of this week and into the weekend. So that's what this video is going to be about, but I'll be honest with you. There is a lot of uncertainty with it, so as of right now, I wouldn't. If you're looking for slight risk or anything of that variety, don't get your hopes up. Just going on a whim and saying that now. So, to put it in the lamest of terms here, simply put, it's basically gonna can't speak. It's basically gonna be like the storm system that went through the south earlier this week. Has plenty of kinetic potential, but the problem is going to be the timing of the upper air forcing and the instability. I mean, really, I think the best chance for any truly significant severe weather might be Friday, I would say, but even with that, I'm not seeing too much that really stands out here. Because when I read through the synopsis earlier today, I mean, sure, we have dew points that are getting into the 60s, some even the 70s. But you can see even as I'm skimming through here, it's just all it talks about is dew points. And maybe the low-level jet being pretty not necessarily consistent, but more so just it's impressive enough for there to be severe weather, but it's nothing that stands out saying, "Oh my goodness, this is going to be a huge tornado threat." If it were the spring times, then sure, but I'll even show you through the vorticity here. Like, there's a lot of potential with this. Because look, here's the storm system that we're going to be working with here. Looks pretty robust, right? Definitely has that linear look to it. You could get some damaging winds and maybe even a few tornadoes on the eastern half of that. But here is where the problem starts to lie. Because I'm going to show you the dew points really quick, and then after that, we're going to take a look at the Cape. We're going to start to take a look at the temperatures and really just the timing. Because during this time of year, it's hard to get that same kind of instability that you would get in the spring. We're using the 90 hour HRRR, by the way. Rarely get to use this, but it's definitely easier to use for these closer events. Not to mention, this is a lot easier on my computer than looking at a 240-hour run. But you can clearly see dew points are there. We're in the mid 60s. Some places have even got some places around southeastern Texas are getting towards 70. We have from the looks of it, a decent shear profile. And here, but look at the Cape, for example, and this is where we're dealing with a lot of our troubles. Okay, here we go. I mean, there's a point where we're getting to the 1500 and 2000s, but beyond that, I mean, there's just not much going there. It's a very small area. Like I said, Friday seems to be the best day, but we were also thinking at one point maybe towards the 30th, 31st maybe even, there'd be some weather. But Cape values aren't really materializing. That's pretty indicative of it's pretty indicative of instability, and it just isn't there. Plus there's upper level forcing that we're still looking for, and the model doesn't necessarily none of the models have really picked up on it. So this is becoming a more and more difficult event to forecast, if it's going to even be an event at all. But look here, see, like I'm saying, we have a pretty impressive shear profile right here. Like, look at this. You can even see, I don't even have to look at a sounding here. I can just look at these little wind barbs right here and tell that there's speed shear, there's directional shear. But again, if you don't have any sort of lift, any sort of buoyancy in the atmosphere, you're not going to get a lot out of this. I think that our lifting mechanism that was represented in that vorticity is going to be a little bit out of place for this. So as a result, a lot of this around here is not going to mean much. Now, that's actually a good thing. I'm actually hoping that doesn't change, because if not, we could still have a pretty big mess on our hands otherwise. But as of right now, I'm not super concerned. I'm hoping it doesn't trend the other way. I hope this trend stays and everyone has a nice weekend leading up into Halloween, and then on Monday you take your kids out trick-or-treating and we just kind of go on about our merry way here. I'll talk about what's going on in the much longer range in another video, probably tomorrow, depending on how things unfold here. But simply put, let's go ahead and take a look at what the radar could look like over the next few days. Here's our storm system of concern. Like I said, Thursday, Friday looks like the most interesting time. We do have a look where we could have some pretty interesting storms here, but this also looks like really yesterday's setup, but we all remember how that ended. There weren't even any severe reports. So this is the tricky thing about doing these fall forecasts, especially for severe weather. It's just so hard to latch onto a signal like this, because this could be multicellular mode here. We could have a QLCS that produces multiple tornadoes, or we could literally get nothing at all. So the only thing you can do is just keep watching closely and really just be ready for a nowcast situation, because forecasting is going to be very difficult. Weathermen are wrong a lot of the time. I'm a weather nerd. I don't even consider myself a full-on weatherman, even though my name says it. And that makes so much sense, right? But yeah, that just shows how difficult this stuff is. It's just a reminder. So don't trash your local weatherman or so on and so forth, because this stuff like this right here is going to be tough to forecast. But anyway, enough rambling. That's pretty much all I got for the video right now. Wasn't a really long one, I know, but I'm just giving you a layout of what's going on here, or what could be going on here. I'll probably have an update for it either tomorrow or maybe even Friday, depending on how things progress. But until that time comes, this has been Tyrant Metalhead Weatherman. I will see you guys on the next one. Have a good night.